Today I'm going to show you how I edit photos for my Instagram. Now, these techniques that I'm going to teach you can use in Photoshop, Affinity Photo, or really any modern photo editor. The first thing that I like to do before I edit the photo is previewing it on my feed. And I developed this Chrome extension that you can download on my GitHub. I'll put a link in the description. You'll have to download this zip file, unpack it, and then go into your Chrome extensions, turn on developer mode, and then load an unpacked extension. And that should allow you to use it. I'm trying to get it on the Chrome store at the moment, but I ran into some issues with using the name Insta Preview. Anyway, so here's my feed right now, and you can see I have this preview button right here. And I've already went through all the photos that I considered using, and I've already chosen this one. Cool, so that kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to look like after we post it on our account. And you can see that I have some reds in here, and I have some reds in here, and then I also have these blues. So I'm trying to keep everything in the same color scheme. Then also there's all these greens. Anyway, let's edit the photo. So I'm going to use Photoshop to edit this photo. Like I said, you can use Affinity. There we go. So the first thing I like to do is crop and straighten. In Photoshop, all you have to do is press C. And I'm going to try to level this bridge. This point looks a little bit lower than this point. Cool, that looks pretty good. I see that I cut out a little bit of the sky up here. So I'm just going to press C again and bring it down until that's cropped out. And then also here on the ground, I just think it's a little bit too much ground. Cool, now since I have it cropped and straightened, I'm going to render this out. You can do that by pressing Command Option Shift S. I'm going to render out to a JPEG. So then I'm going to go back to my Instagram, and then I'm going to preview it again to make sure everything fits in this box correctly. Perfect. So the next step is to level everything, to level the lighting of the scene. So you're always going to want to keep your original. You see this one has a lock on it. You're never going to want to edit the original image, even though you're not going to save it, but you're going to be able to reflect back on it, and you're also going to be able to bring back anything that you want. In Photoshop, to duplicate a layer, you just drag it down here, but there's a faster way to do it. You can just press Command J, and it will duplicate the layer. Now, we're going to focus on one thing at a time. The first section of the photo that I want to focus on is this rock area right here. Not on top, but this part over here because it's a little bit dark, and I want to brighten that up. So I'm going to press Command M, and that's going to bring up my curves. And I want to make my blacks a little bit brighter. And you'll notice if you take your blacks down and create this little curve, it'll get more contrasty. So don't worry about the whole photo, just focus on this wall right here. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to erase the parts that I don't want. So you're going to go to the eraser tool, or you can just press E, and you're going to want to get a fairly big brush. And you can change the brush size by holding down Control and clicking. So I'm going to keep this brush right around the same size. And now I'm going to go through and erase all the parts that I don't want. Now you'll see if I turn this off and on, it's just affecting that rock wall right there. Next, I'm going to focus on this area right here by the base of the bridge. So I'm going to go back to my original layer, press Command J, press Command M, and typically I bring my blacks up first, and then I bring my whites up, and then I go back down to my blacks and dip it down to give it a little bit more of a contrast. Then if you don't have your eraser open, you can press E to open up your eraser, and then go through and delete all the stuff that you don't want affected. Now I'm going to focus on the top of that stone wall and this little viewer. Go back to your original, create another layer, and then just keep repeating this. Now after you're done adjusting all your curves, you can click on your last layer, click on your first layer, and then press Command G to group them all. And now we can see what it looks like compared to the original. Cool, now let's move on to the color. We're going to Command J this whole group, and then I'm going to merge this group together. And then I'm going to turn off this group right here, just so I can see the difference between the original and where I'm at right now. Alright, now this is the same as last time, except for this time through, you're going to press Command U, which is going to bring up your hue and saturation. But this is kind of your original copy now, and you don't want to overwrite this one, so make sure you're still pressing Command J. See, I'm just dropping the saturation out of the sky because I'm just trying to make all this fog white instead of having a little bit of orange or blue or whatever in it. Cool. Same as last time. Click on your bottom one, click on your top one, then Command G. And if we toggle this, we can see the color difference now. It's not a huge difference, but my colors are more dominant now, but they're still subtle. Okay, now let's Command J this group, merge the group together, turn off this group, and we can toggle it with the original. Now this looks pretty good already, but let's add a couple little extra elements. Now you can make a blank layer by just pressing this new layer button at the bottom, and that will just give you a new layer with nothing on it. Now I'm going to go in here and pull some of these colors out, but I do want to keep this white. That gold already looks pretty good, but I'll go in here and show you how I would pick it out. So these golds down here, or you could even use this red. But I think I'm going to use this gold right here. I'm going to give it a little bit more saturation. And now I'm going to use my brush to paint in a lens flare. You can click on the brush icon over here, or you can just press B. Hold Control and click, and you can go in here and change the brush size, but I kind of liked it where it was. And now I'm just going to go in and paint that lens flare. I'm going to change the layer type to screen, and I'm just going to lower the opacity. Now I like the lens flare around here, but I don't like what it's doing on these little binocular things here. So I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm just going to take out my eraser tool and click on here a couple times. There we go. I also want to get rid of it down here because I like those blues. And then I like to go in here and create another layer and paint in some white. Maybe even a little bit down here. Change the layer type to screen and drop the opacity. Bring out my eraser tool again. And I'm actually going to change the opacity on my eraser. We can also grab a lens flare from the internet. Maybe something like that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Change the layer type to screen. Then bring out your eraser tool and clean up the sharp edges. Whoops, I have my opacity down still. I'm going to group all these flares together. Then it will allow me to adjust all of their opacity as one. So I'm going to group these, duplicate them, merge them, and this is what it looks like compared to the original. So it's pretty subtle. Sometimes you can see photos that have been over-edited, but I like to keep my process really simple and true to the original scene. If you enjoy my content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave any suggestions for future tutorials in the comments.